trash, I won't pop back, cause they want that. Type in all caps and it's all cap, fall back. I get called whack, no response track. Put the bomb back, suck my ball sack, probably want that. Ew.
Hey, give me all the hate. You know how it go online, ain't nobody safe. Like, hey, see me face to face, probably want an autograph and brag about it for days. Like, hey, biting my tongue, you want your 50 minutes, boy, but I ain't the one. Like, hey, we don't get along, but I ain't making you famous saying your name in the song.
Let them talk trash, I won't pop back, cause they want that. Type in all caps and it's all cap, fall back. I get called whack, no response track. Put the bomb back, suck my ball sack, probably want that. Ew.
In every city, in every street corner, there's a story waiting to be told. A story of struggle, of survival, of sound. From the silence of setbacks to the roar of resilience. One artist has risen through the noise. His words don't just rhyme, they cut. His voice doesn't just sing, it shakes the room. Born of fire, forged in truth. He carries the scars of the past and turns them into the fuel of his future. Now, under the banner of Trailer Made Records, he steps forward, not just as an artist, but as a force, a name you will not forget. This is more than music. This is more than a movement. Speaking in Lyrics would like to welcome Frank Thompson.
Ezekiel 33:11, God said, I take no pleasure in the death of a wicked man, that the wicked man turn from his ways and live.
What's up, fam? Welcome back. It's your girl Lacey and your girl Carol with an E.
That's me. Hi, guys.
And we are here with the one, the only Frank Thompson. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. That video was fire.
Thanks, Alex.
That video is fire. I like that you put the scripture in there. That's actually what I have tattooed on my arm right here.
Oh shit, for real?
Yeah, it's Ezekiel 33:11. It says, I take no pleasure in the death of the wicked man, but that the wicked man turn from his ways and live. I got it when I was in prison. And it's, yeah, I didn't know it at the time when I got it. I was just like, right, I was going through the yard and we had a chapel we would go to, and I went to the chapel, and I bought this dude beard trimmers, and he took the motor out of it and he made a gun. And since I bought him beard trimmers, he's like, I'll give you a tattoo. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna, I was going through the Bible. I was like, I wonder what I can get scriptured on me. And I seen that, and when I seen it, I was like, that's gangster. I want that. I didn't know the at the time, like, that the more that I've grown in my faith and the understanding, like, that scripture depicts resurrection, right? Redemption. You know what I'm saying? It's somebody who spent most of their life doing the wicked, just indulging in what life gives them. You know what I'm saying? And for the common person, right, or sometimes even the Christian person, when they see somebody who's doing that, their first instinct is like, they're going to hell. That's kind of what everybody, you're doing bad stuff, you're going to hell. But the way that God sees it, he's like, I don't take no pleasure in the death of this man, but that this man would turn from his ways and he would live in true honesty and true self. And so, like, the more that I've learned and the more that I've grown in my faith, I've started to actually, I believe that at the time that I got this was just a depiction of my life, and so it means a lot to me. The fact that you guys just kind of threw it in there on your own, like that really just made my heart happy.
Yeah, no, I heard it, and I don't know. I relate to that too, though, because I have had my own, struggles with my past in ways, and you can always make a better choice and, like, go towards the light, as I call it, like,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but it's not an easy thing to do. Not by any means. Not when you're surrounded by, the world every day, and you got everybody and their beliefs and their this and their that. And so to choose to go against it, I'm having to choose to go against what I naturally desire. Right. Because most of the stuff that I desire although I can use it for my pleasure, it's not good for me. Like the drinking, the smoking, all these other things. It's like I can use it and I can justify using it for whatever reason, but like at the end of the day, it's only going to bring just destruction to my life. So having to choose to do the right thing, right? Doing the opposite of what I want. After a while, it gets a little easier. But
Mm-hmm.
it's still every day. It's like I got to find this place to just look myself in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? What am I here for? You know, because if I was to do what I wanted to do, nobody would want me around. You know, that's just really what it comes down to. Uh, you know, so like it's easier, it's way easier said than done. But if you can do it, you're
Definitely.
like an anomaly in this world, which is weird, you know. People,
Yeah.
I have guys on the tour. I've had people who spent any time around me, you know, and they see how I am off of the mic and off of the stage. And
Mhm.
they're like, oh, okay, so like this is who you really are, you know, and it's like, yeah, this is who I really am. And you know, in a world where everybody kind of find, I mean, there's places where I even find self-indulgence, you know, I'm not perfect.
Mhm.
But it's no longer to the extreme to where I'm inflicting damage on myself or others, you know. And I think that's really what people, that's what I look for in people anyways, is someone who's willing to walk this world and try to cause as less damage on other people as possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, so it definitely, it's not an easy thing to do, you know, but I have my own things. I have my daily routines that I do to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm in line with where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. I love
So,
that. And it's talking about your tattoo that you got in prison is the perfect segue for you to tell us all about the devil worshiper story.
oh,
Yeah.
Oh, right
okay.
out the gate.
Right
We're
out the
just
gate.
right out the
Dude,
gate.
Right out the
I've been thinking
gate.
about it. I've been thinking about it. Like, I gotta know.
Like it's been on our brains.
Because I'm
So,
like, what on earth is this story gonna be?
uh-oh,
Uh-oh.
we froze.
It's frozen.
You got me?
Oh, there you are.
There we
Yeah.
go. Yep.
All
Okay.
right.
So the context of what we were talking about was um not forcing somebody to align with your beliefs, right? Or
Yeah.
villainizing, which is what's going a lot in the world today, villainizing somebody else who doesn't share your beliefs and your opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we were talking about in that, in the message, you know, was I'm not going to go into the details of it, but you know, was
Yeah.
basically like this person, someone didn't align with this person, and for that reason they felt need to throw rocks and throw stones.
Mm-hmm.
um when I was in prison, I didn't come to faith like this. I didn't grow up in church. I grew up on a reservation where we believed in traditions, right? We believed in medicine men, peyote meetings, sweat ceremonies, smoke lodge, you know what I'm saying? Smoke
Mm-hmm.
ceremonies, sweat lodges. So I didn't come into faith like this. I didn't actually hear the gospel. I didn't hear anybody talk to me about the way, about this Christ that's in the Bible, until I was about 26 years old. And you know, and it just so happened that the same day that somebody told me this news and I gave my life over to this God that I believe's up there, that same night, like that was early in the morning, that same night I got arrested in my third possession of a stolen vehicle charge, and I was already out on these other paid charges for shit. And that's when they threw me in prison. I ended up getting signed in for time and I went to prison. And so while I was in prison, I started to try to understand the Bible, right? Like I started reading the Bible for myself. I didn't have a preacher I listened to or nothing. I started picking this thing up and I was reading it for myself. And I would do that. And I had my own this little table that I'd have on my unit, and I would sit in the day room and I would just read this Bible. And there was a guy who was celled with me, and he was a Satan worshiper, like a Satanist. And the thing about this guy, he was about 50 or 60 years old, and he used to be an ordained minister. So he was somebody who preached the gospel, he preached the word of God to people, and things happened in his life where he fell away from his faith and he got into Satanism.
Mm.
And he would walk by me all the time, and he would mock what I'm doing. He would make fun of it. He would confuse me. He would say, hey, do you know how in this part it says this, but this part it says this? And you know, he's like, what is the day, like, how do you do? And it really started making me doubt, like, if what I felt in that parking lot where I gave my life to God was real, right? It was like this confusion, and I felt like maybe I had been bamboozled, or maybe it was all in my head, or maybe I was just high, you know. But I just kept reading it, and he would fuck with me every day. And this went on for like 2 or 3 months. And and I would pray and I would say, God, move him, move me, let something happen to where I got to move to a different cell or he moves to a different cell, something, because in prison, you can't really just say, hey, this guy's fucking with me and I want to move, right? That'll
Right.
label you a couple of things. And so I did, man. I dealt with it. I dealt with it and I prayed and nothing was happening. And finally, I was just like, you know what? I was got up and I was just gonna go over to him and I was just gonna beat the shit out of him. Like I had nothing else going. I was like, I don't know what else to do. But as I got up to go up to him, I had a little locker and I opened my locker and I had bought some coffee, right? Some Folgers instant coffee. And so I was like, I'm gonna try this. And so I made 2 cups of coffee and I walked over to him. And and then I told him honestly, I was like, hey man, look, what you're doing is fucking with me, and I said, when it comes to this scripture, when it comes to this word, like you have me beat 10 times out of 10. Like I don't know what I'm reading here and I'm trying to learn it, and like you keep fucking with me and it's really starting to get the best of me. I said, but we're in prison and I could beat the fuck out of you right now and nobody's gonna stop me, and I was 26 years old at the time, and he's like almost 60. And when I put it to him like that, he kind of just sat back and I looked at him and I said, how about this? You leave what you believe over on that side of the street. I'll leave what I believe over here on this side of the street, and I'm like, what do you like? And he liked basketball. I love basketball. And so then we end up spending the next 5 or 6 months before he went to another yard talking about basketball and kids, his kids, my kids. And there was a couple of times in there where I could see he was like having some thoughts in his head and a part of me wanted to try to push this gospel, but it was like, hold on, I said I was going to leave what I have over on this side of the street. And I did. And we never talked about Christ, we never talked about religion, we never talked about beliefs, but I spent 6 or 7 months with this guy. Every morning he would get coffee one week, I would get it the next, and we would spend every morning in prison sitting at this table just bullshitting, drinking coffee. Now this is a guy who, I believe firmly in my faith. At the time I was still trying to figure it out, but here's another guy who's on the fucking very opposite side,
Yeah.
but yet we
Right.
found a place where there was common ground. And it came from me having to set my opinions and my beliefs aside, and I found a way to still connect with this guy. And I learned a valuable lesson there that stayed with me forever. Anybody who's around me for any point of time, unless I'm asked, I don't push this on nobody, right? If I'm
Mhm.
asked, if the door's open, you open the door, now you get to hear the story. But I don't cram it down nobody's throat. I don't ask nobody. I don't try to save nobody because I can't even save my fucking self. So I think that when I learned how to do that, it opened the doors for me more to actually speak and talk to people about this, because now they're not like, oh, you're not like every other Christian who's trying to save me from hell. It's just like, no, dude, I'm just trying to get along like you do stuff that I don't agree with. I probably do things that you see as weird, but we can still find common ground.
Mhm.
And that was the whole point of like, learning how to check yourself. Because I think, and I'm going to speak for myself, and I know a lot of Christians, that when it comes to wanting to supposedly save somebody with this gospel, that ego gets involved way more than anything.
Mhm.
I hear it in the church. They're like, oh, I saved this, bro. I did this. I saved this guy. We saved this many people. It's like, well, hold on, bro. You didn't save anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like you may have had a hand in it, but you didn't do it. We're not capable of that kind of power. You
Right.
know, I believe when the Almighty asks me to do something and help somebody else, it's probably because I'm more in the way than anything. It's kind of like if like I have a son, and if
Mhm.
I'm out back, for example, I was putting together a trampoline and my son wanted to help me. My son's 10, right? He can only help so much. And then the springs are too hard for him to pull. He can't hold the trampoline while I'm trying to put it on. And, it's like he's more in my way at this point, right? But I'm not going to
Mhm.
tell him to move. I'm not going to tell him to stop helping me. I'm going to let him continue to help me. And he made the job a little harder. But once it was done, he looked at me and he just told everybody, I put together the trampoline, and as his dad, I'm just like, yep, he did it. I
I
think
love
that
it.
that's how God works, at least with me. He's like, Frank, if you're gonna be there and you're gonna kind of already be in the way, you might as well say something and help. But don't ever think that it's you doing all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And so when I look at my relationship with God through those lens, I'm more in the way, but I think he finds joy in just allowing me to help out a little bit, but I don't get to run around and say, oh, look at all these people that to me, that's where the religion steps in and the legalism step and all that. And I try my
Hmm.
best to stay out of all of that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I hope that
Oh
makes
yeah,
It
100%.
sense.
it does make sense. Now, leading into, and we are going to get to some of Frank's music, but I want everybody to kind of get an idea of who Frank is.
Hmm.
So let's talk about some of the work you do that does help. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the
The work you're doing
the
with the
work you're
youth.
doing with the youth.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I work hand in hand. I work next to a boys' home in Tulsa. It's called the Tulsa Boys Home. And a lot of these kids, their ages from 13 to 17, and it's usually where they end up when they don't have fit parents. I'll just put it like that. One something happened with mom and dad, or whatever. There's some extreme cases I won't go into. But these, for one reason or another, these kids have found themselves in a group facility. And I started volunteering there. I'm a part of a ministry, a men's ministry, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go up here and we're gonna go talk to the youth." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I went up there, and I mean, a lot of these kids, they grew up in the gang mentality. They grew up, being around the street life, and some of them, and it's a broken system. It's a broken world. Some of them idolize prison. Like if you've been to prison, that means you carry your weight. Um, and when I went up there and and I kind of shared my story a little bit with them, I had more of these kids gravitate towards what I was saying. I mean, but I was also up there with a bunch of the guys from this ministry who lead that Christian life, right? They have the cookie cutter, I shouldn't say it like that, but you know what I'm saying? They have that
Hmm.
that Christian life thing, right? And
Right.
I have a little rougher background, so they started talking to me and as I was leaving, there was another guy there, and I watched him put his hands on the shoulder of all these kids and look them in the eyes. And he said, God loves you. He has purpose for you. He has a plan for your life. And he went down the row of all these kids and said the same thing. And it's like, okay, that's good to tell them, but he didn't come back. You know what I'm saying? And it was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, how much weight did your message hold there? Because now you're just another guy with another church who told these kids that Jesus loves them, but you get to go home and they stay here. And when I seen that, it kind of made me cringe in a way. And it was like, I want these kids to know that they're valued and they're loved. Right. I believe that there's a God up there and I believe he loves them. And I would like for them to know that. But telling them is not gonna work. So I decided that I was going to go up there the following week. And then I went up there the following week. And then I just started going up there and I had no idea what I was going to do, but I just went. And there was one kid in particular who reminded me of me, right? He was pretending because he's in a place like this. He's pretending he had a worse life or he was into some stuff that he didn't know nothing about, right? He was telling me that he was, into drugs and this. And when I asked him, I was like, "What kind of drugs did you use?" And he couldn't really give me an answer. And so I said heroin, and he said, "Yeah, heroin." And I knew he was lying, but there was something in that was like, you're lying to try to fit into the environment you're in. And so I didn't patronize him. I just let him tell his story. But then I went back because I couldn't get him off my mind. And in volunteering with this one kid, there's not a lot of people who will go spend their time at these places. And
Yeah.
so they were like, "Hey, I know you're going to mentor him, but will you also talk to this other kid? They live in the same lodge." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." And then I started talking to another kid, and then it was another kid, and the next thing you know, they're like, "Hey, will you just come and mentor this whole lodge?" Right? There was about 9 kids there, and so now I'm going up there. once a week, and I'm talking to these kids, but they want to, it was like they don't want to talk, they want to play ball, right? They want to play baseball, they want to play basketball, they want to play video games. I'm not big on video games. I actually went and bought a PlayStation 4 and Call of Duty so I could learn while I was at home. So when I went up there, I knew what I was doing because
You're
I
doing
talked smack. Yeah,
I
I was
love
giving
that.
it to him. I was talking
It-
all kinds of trash, but realistically, I haven't played a video game in forever. I think the last system I had was a Nintendo 64.
Oh, that's my
So
favorite.
I haven't, yeah, I haven't played games, and so I started teaching myself how to play Call of Duty, so I could go up there and when I was up there for a couple hours with them, that's what they wanted to do, so we play Call of Duty. But I coach basketball, so I was teaching them basketball. And then one of them found out that I made music. I took my son with me, and my son was like, "Yeah, my dad's a rapper." And so the next time that I went up there, they had one of my songs playing on the thing, and word got around that entire facility that I made music. And now that I'm having the director ask me, "Hey, are you the Frank that everybody keeps talking about around here?" And I was like, "I don't know, so they just think that what I do is the coolest shit in the world, right? They see my music videos, they see, everything. So I've been up there long enough. We had one kid age out, right? And when he aged out, they cut him in one way or another. They gave him a little bit of money and a bus ticket, to go back home. And I had this thought was like, hold on, this kid was unfit to be around his parents at 16 years old. That's why you guys took him away. But now he's 18. It's okay for him to be around his parents. It's like it's still the same environment. And how much do you think this kid actually grew mentally in the 2 years he was with you? He's still that same kid that you guys brought in here off the fucking streets. And now you're letting him go back. That's why the prison system is the way that it is. They're going to go back to what they know. I didn't like it, and I started to try to find some kind of transitional living houses for them, somewhere they could go that where they could learn some kind of, just values and just everyday life things. But there's not any. I found two in the country that specifically help young men who age out of foster care and DHS facilities. And so I took it upon myself to me and my team. We started a nonprofit, right? It's called Pushing for Purpose, and what we do is we are starting transitional living houses for these kids. The ones who age out, they come to the house. It's a 20-month program. They got certain things they got to do. And by the time that they leave, they should have enough of like work history, learning how to pay bills and like just the
Mhm.
general life stuff. So that way it's like, okay, now you can go into the world and hopefully, you have a better chance now of continuing to try to do the right thing because you've been doing it for 20 months, as opposed to okay, you no longer have babysitters. Good luck in the free world,
Right.
and
Yep.
so that's the heartbeat of what we do. It comes back to there's one of our main core value systems for our nonprofit. It's actually out of scripture. It's First John 3:18, and it says, "Let us show love by action and not with words." Right.
Hmm.
And it goes back to just this guy who was like, "Oh, God loves you. God loves you." And it's like, okay, you know what? They don't want to hear it. They want to see it. And it just took a little bit of just consistency. It's
Yeah.
amazing what these kids will do with consistency. If somebody shows up and continues to show up and takes an interest in their life, over the time that I've been there, I've had these kids tell me some of their life stories. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of times that I just sat in, like as I was driving home, I would just sit in my car and I would cry. It's like some people should not be allowed around children ever, but now the
100%.
child, it not only feels worthless or useless from something that may have happened, now they've been in a system where they're raised by staff members, right? Staff members who are paid to make sure that they're where they need to be, staff members who, if they're lucky, they have a counselor who will actually tuck them in, but for the most part, it's just people who are paid to be there. And in an environment like that, it's a whole lot of hate. And these kids, especially the ones who have had things happen to them, or the ones whose parents are in prison or dead, who are they mad at? They're gonna be mad at God. It's like, I
Yeah.
hate this God. And why did he put me here? And when I go in there and they're like, someone like me steps in there and just shows consistency over time, you build this trust. And then, just like my rule with life, they'll come and ask me. And when they ask me, then I tell them, you know what I'm saying? But never
Mhm.
before. I never want to push this on a kid. And that's the same structure we have with our house here. I'm a man of God and I'm in recovery. I don't require nobody to go to church. I don't require them to go to AA meetings or NA meetings. I don't require them to do that. What I require them to do is, we have a partnership with the mental health facility in Oklahoma, and their requirement is, you're going to talk to this counselor once a week. That's the must. If you're not going to talk to this counselor, then you don't get to stay here, right? I will
Mhm.
prioritize mental health over everything else. And it's like, if you can help a kid with their mental health, get them in a place where then they can truly try to understand something. Then, if they choose to go to church, then if they choose to go to recovery meetings, then they'll be more apt to doing it,
Yeah.
listening to it, if they understand themselves a little better. And I
Yeah.
think the only way that you can do that is with professional help. So we prioritize our mental health, but then we also partner with a couple of businesses there in Tulsa, right? One of them's an HVAC company, one of them's a fencing company, one's a plumbing company, where these kids can get into an environment to take them into a trade that could take them somewhere. And
Yeah.
ideally, if you're with us for 20 months and you've been working as a helper for this HVAC guy, you know what I'm saying? By the time you
Yeah.
leave, you can take a full-time position doing that.
Hmm.
And then now you know how to pay bills. Now you have this consistency. Now you have a little money in your pocket. You know how to pay your own, you know how to structure, cleaning and like all these things. It's just setting them up in a position where it's like, okay, I might have been overlooked for most of my childhood, you know what I'm saying? But like, there's something, somebody cared enough to try to get me prepared for the rest of my life, you
Right.
know? And then that way, when they're out the door, it's, what they're going to do after that is what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But um, hold on, I see
Yeah.
somebody said something about donations.
Yeah.
If you go to my link tree, it'll be on my Facebook, Instagram, whatever. There's a link tree. If you go to the link tree at the very top, it's the first thing. It says Pushing for Purpose. If you click that, it'll take you to all the places you can donate through Cash App, but whatever. Um, so it's all on there. You just got to find my link tree, and it's the very first thing. It's above all the music. It's above all of that, because this is for that, like, if what I'm doing here doesn't help bring awareness and help to these kids, you know what I'm saying, then this will ultimately have to go. But I
Yeah.
think I've been in a place where I've been blessed to be able to maintain both of them. So
Well, let's share some of the comments, Frank, that have come
Yeah.
in. So go up a little bit further. There we
Yeah.
go.
Absolutely.
And especially when he starts talking about this work that he's been
Yeah.
doing.
I was definitely share them on there. A lot of inspiring stuff.
Yes.
Alex said, Frank, you should be a creator, have a podcast. You're one of my favorite people to hear tell their story. You're going to change many people's lives.
Yes.
Kathy said, you're not supposed to make us cry.
Love that. Go down a little more.
Yeah. Robin also said, our youth needs us. And that's so true. And I love what you said about actions speak louder than words. It's
mhm,
so true, because a lot of people can say a lot of stuff. But when you consistently show up and you with actions, you back up your words, like that is
mhm.
so huge for people, and it helps build trust. And I think that's a lot of things that those kids don't have, and to set
I
them up
like this
for
one a lot.
which one?
You're on it.
This one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It only takes that one person to care.
Mhm.
Exactly kind of what I was getting at there. Because uh for me, in a different sense, like with my mental health, I'm hyper vigilant and aware of any change in someone's behavior. I can tell a mood shift the moment it happens. And like, I don't know what the cause of it is. Usually I think it's my fault, because that's how that works. But when people continuously show up for me, like Carol is always there for me no matter what it is. She never, you know, tells me I shouldn't be feeling some kind of way or whatever. She just consistently shows up and is a support system for me no matter what. And so I trust her to always have my back. I've learned to try, like, because I have a hard time trusting people sometimes. And, it's when those kids, you are that for them, and they are going to learn to trust. They're going to be able to get out in the real world and be successful and be able to
Hmm.
pay bills and stuff and not have to fall back on that old, like, whether they grew up where like maybe they were selling drugs or whatever, they don't have to lean into that to try and get by. And I think that's going to literally save the youth of this country. um
We
Yeah,
need
I've
we
been.
need more Frank Thompson.
yeah, we just need more
I've
of it.
had I've had a couple of people that I've spoken about this. They're like, "Yo, you need to find a way to duplicate yourself," and it's like,
Yeah.
I would
Hmm.
love to. I would love to, but it's great idea. It's great theory, right? It's great.
Hmm.
It sounds good, but when you have to put the effort in, because the thing is, I give so much to them, right? and
Hmm.
and and, and I go into debt over these kids. We went and bought, there's that whole lodge, right? We just kind of collected everybody's birthday dates, and then we just started throwing birthday parties, like we'd have their birthday parties and getting their stuff, and then like having the nacho bars, it's like having a cake, there was a
Hmm.
kid, man, it broke my heart. I got him a cake. He was Lilo and Stitch was his thing. So I got him
Oh,
a decorative Lilo sitting up kind of cake
yeah.
thing, and then some shoes and stuff. So it's like things like that. It takes money, and so we don't have we don't have the resources to do it
Right.
all the time. But it's almost like every time I put something on paper and I'm like, I'm gonna do it, the money shows up one way or another, and then so like it comes in and it goes right back out. So when you're constantly, it feels like you're just battling
Hmm.
wave after wave after wave. It gets so exhausting, and it'll run you down. It'll run your mental health down. It'll run your
Yeah.
emotions down. And if you can't fall back on the fact that you love it, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, it's
You're
true.
gonna you're gonna walk out, and I tell everybody who volunteers with us, right? Because I'll take
Hmm.
people in there, um, and I do this thing. It's once a month. We go as a group, right? Because if you decide you're not gonna come back, you're not gonna be noticed, And
Yeah.
the thing is, I tell is like, you check what you believe at the door. We're not here to preach to these kids. We're not here to talk to these kids like we're some, savior kind of, like, no. We're here to
Right.
throw
Yeah.
baseballs. We're here to teach them how to fish. Here to teach them how to bait hook. We're here to, what I'm saying, like, we're here to
Yeah.
do something, and you're going to teach them. And if you choose to come back, and then you come back on your own time, put the effort in, come back on your own time,
Hmm. Yeah.
then you can start talking to them if they ask you, right? But
Yeah.
I take people up there with me, and it's like, yo, if you're not going to commit to something like this, right? Don't say yes because that's what you think I want to hear.
Right.
If it's not in your heart to commit to this, then just
Hmm.
don't come. Don't come.
Yeah.
I'd rather you not come. Like, these kids have had people walk out of them so many times, right? And it's like, we're not gonna do that, So
Right.
come hell or high water, like I said it again, and I've said it 100 times. If this gets in the way of that, then this has to go. I can't tell these kids that they are a priority to me if I won't prioritize them over my own wants. And don't get me wrong, being on tour, and like, this is something I've always wanted. I've been writing music since I was 17 years old. I've been writing rhymes
Hmm.
for fucking ever. I've always wanted to get out here and to have a chance to get in front of people and have my voice heard. But if this is going to take away from that, then this has to go. Like, it
Mm.
has
Yeah.
to. If I'm not going to put, if I'm asking people to put themselves second, I have to be the first one to do it.
Right.
And but like I said, I've been extremely blessed. I actually had one of the kids call me the other day when we were in Minneapolis, and he called me, and he was just kind of telling me about his week. And I had my boy Mike Sons in the car, and he was like, anybody who rides with me for too long, somebody's gonna call me, and whether it's for help or just to say something, like, I get into these long conversations, and it's always like, trying to just help build each other up. But when these boys call me, man, it's a whole different thing, because, like, they got to call me from the facility, and so it's, but and they're like, oh, where you at now? We're to the point now. They kind of banter. They tell me I'm not good, and I tell them they suck. So it's fun.
I love
It's
that.
fun. What's crazy? I'll tell you a story real quick. I was up there, and this is like about the time that they started finding out that I knew some people. And so there was one kid who's he's in the country, right? And I didn't know he knew anybody that I fucking hang around, right? Because when someone's like, "Do you know this person?" And usually it's like, "Do you know Jelly Roll?" Nope. You know what I'm saying? Like, "Do you know this person?" But he asked me that. He says, "Hey," he says, "Do you know who Dusty Lee is?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I know. Like, I don't know him personally. I don't have his number. I can't call him." I said, "But I know who he is. He's really affiliated with my boy Target and this and that." And he was like, "Oh, okay." He says, what about Dolph? You know Florida Dolph?" And I was just like, "That one, I got you." You know what I'm saying? And he was,
Yeah.
and right there, and it's funny because Dolph, you usually got to call him 3 or 4 times before he'll answer. You know. But I was sitting there, and I was like, "All right, check this out." And I FaceTimed Dolph, and he answered the first time,
Oh,
and
I
my
love
boy right here was with me, like started freaking out. He was like, "Dude, I
that.
love Earnhardt. Earnhardt's my favorite song," you know.
Aw.
Uh, and so I let Dolph FaceTimed him, uh, and they talked for like 15 minutes or so. And this kid was like, "Listen to the," and he's like rapping his rhymes that he wrote to Dolph, and like like stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Then he went and
Yeah.
told everybody that I knew everybody, and I was like, "Yo, don't do that."
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't do that. I can't just get a hold of it, but
Yeah.
like just that moment, like where this kid got to, for somebody like Dolph, I started laughing so hard. I was like, out of everybody, you could have had me FaceTime. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had me
Yeah, it
FaceTime
started
Florida
off.
Dolph. Like, that's fresh. That's
I
fresh.
love
I
it.
love Dolph, man. Shout out my brother Dolph. I
Heck
love that
yeah.
dude.
Oh yeah. And shout out to, I mean, just
Trailer
all the
made.
golf, all the
Yep.
trailer made people, and just
Yeah.
all the people we know in general. Like, well, and I know, like, I think you've been on with, or a lot of them have been on with, like a lot of the reactor friends we have and stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
I love the community that is being built, like through, really the reactor community. A lot of it with trailer made. Like, I see the trailer made dogs everywhere,
Right. You know what? And
everywhere.
shout out real quick to some of those folks, like Thoughts of a Predicate winner, Nelson.
Yeah.
That I love.
Uh,
Like, I love that dude.
Archie from Drink the Kool-Aid.
He's going live tonight with Trailer Made reactions.
All Trailer Made
Made
reactions.
reactions tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that dude will literally go live for like 8 hours.
Yeah,
So he's
he's-
gonna go through everybody's catalog, every song they've ever made from the beginning of time in that 8 hours. I guarantee you.
Hey Tim, what's up? How you feeling,
Shout out
friend?
Triple T.
Oh, what up, Triple T?
I hope you're
Doing
doing
Thompson.
good.
Yeah, I get it
Frank
all the
Thomas.
time. You have no idea. Everybody calls me Frank Thomas. Frank Thomas. I just started acknowledging it. Like, yep, that's
He's
me.
like, yeah, sure. It's my stage name.
Close. Close. Yeah. It's my rapper name.
Like, close enough.
He said it's
Uh,
good
No,
enough.
I did Thoughts of a Predicate winner. Nelson,
Yeah.
that dude's
I saw
Nelson.
fucking cool. Like
I saw that.
I've actually texted, we've been texted back and forth, because like he's a super solid dude. And I'll text like, "I don't know why, man. Like, I'm just thinking about you today, bro. I hope you're having a good day." You know what I'm saying? And then we'll just kind of get on
Mhm.
these things. And it's cool, man, because like I never had like friendships like that. I never had healthy friendships. I was just telling my boy the other day, I was like, almost everybody that I talk to on the phone, right? Anybody who has my number that can call me, I always tell them, if it's my homeboy or whatever, I'm like, "Hey, I love you, dog." Before I get off the phone, "Hey, love you, man. Love you, man. Love you,
Mhm.
man." You know what I'm saying? Because like
Yeah.
I went so long, like everybody I used to be around was just take, 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 take. What they're like, Frank will go to the extreme, and we needed to get this done. So let's get Frank to do it. Right. And my blind loyalty would just, okay, bet, let's go over here and fucking rob somebody. Let's go over here and fucking do this. Thinking everybody's down, and then when shit hits the fan, I'm the one thrown under the bus. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like I've had so many friendships like that, that now the friendships that I do have today with everybody on my label, with the guys I'm on tour right now, like like everybody who I'm around today, like we genuinely, we really just want the best for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you
Yeah.
win, hey dog, I'm celebrating with you.
Right.
If you take a loss, I'm mourning with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you can't fix everything. Sometimes
Mhm.
you just need somebody to sit with you in the fucking ditch you're in and just listen to you bitch. And it's like, I can
Mhm.
do
Oh
that,
my God. When he said that just now, I about started to cry because
Oh.
of my tattoo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
because I have a tattoo that my best friend who has passed away,
Mm, I'm
her and I
sorry.
have matching tattoos, and it actually says, I believe it's I was something about sit with you, with something when you can't find the light, I'll sit with you in the dark.
Hmm.
And it's just one of those things, like, her death was super hard on me
Mm-hmm.
when she died. So um it's one of those things, like, I've had a lot of blows. Like, my mom passed away, then not long after my mom, 4 months later, my brother died. And then, skip on, that was, 2016, then going into 2017, and then 2020 my sister died in
Mm,
April, and then 2020 June my dad died. And then in April of 22, my best friend died. So it's like, I just, like, boom, 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 boom. So if you want to talk about something ever, like, testing faith, you know what I mean? That's hard, right?
Yeah.
Because
hmm.
it's like, wow, like, both, like, I've had three siblings. I can speak. Three siblings, and two of those have passed away. Both my parents have passed away. It's just, it gets hard, and
Yeah.
that definitely tests, like, who you can be as a person, right? I've also
Hmm.
always been, I haven't quite done quite the work you have done with the youth, but I've definitely, I'm always that person that helps, right? So, like, if I see that someone needs help, I'm gonna help, no matter what it is. I'm gonna help.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I had taken in a 15-year-old pregnant girl. You know what I mean? How off and on, years and years, helped her, and, her family, and then her sister. And, I don't know
Yeah.
if that would be God's work, but that's always just been the person that I am.
She took my punk
Yeah.
ass in.
Yeah, I took this one in. Jeez.
I was
Um,
like, I'm
You
moving
know,
in.
I will tell you this, it doesn't make sense, and I like the one thing that I get, especially as a believer talking to other people who are not, the main premise is usually, if God is real, why does bad things happen to good people, right?
mhm,
And I'm not going to sit here and say that I know, because I don't, I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that when you go through something, right, when you go through all the loss that you went through, losing your mother, your father, your friends, siblings and things like that, it's hard on the heart, and it hurts, and it doesn't make sense until somebody comes up to you and says, Carol, I just lost my mother and I need someone.
Mhm.
You
right.
walk through it. You see what I'm saying? Hey, I
Yep,
just lost this
absolutely.
person. And it's like, okay, that doesn't make what happened not suck, right?
Mhm.
But you're able to take what you went through, that grieving process, and you can empower somebody to face their feelings while they're going through it. And you can be strong for this person who may be
Mhm,
hurting because they lost their mother, their father, right? Then in that sense, in that light, in that view, like it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying
Yeah.
that does that make, I hope that makes sense.
No,
it
yeah.
makes
You know,
complete sense.
I
No.
didn't
Yep.
understand it until so I'll tell you a story real quick. There was a guy that asked me to help him. He was detoxing. And I took him to some meetings, and we did the whole thing. And he was down at the bottom. And honestly, if I'm gonna be transparent here, when he asked me for help, I almost didn't want to help him. It's like, yo, how many times we done this? It's just going to be another. Now you're doing the thing again. You're not going to take it serious. And so
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm already being super dismissive. But he comes up to me and he asks for help, and and he had some things going on, and he wasn't health wise, wasn't doing great. And so I'm like thinking, this is going to cost this. How am I going to put him here? I got to pay for a room because he can't stay in my house. And I'm looking at the burden that it is. And I took him to the hospital, right? He had to go get some blood work done. And I took him to the hospital. And on the way to the hospital, we were talking, and he said, he's like, I don't know why I come here, like, why I'm even wasting your time. He was like, this thing, this sober thing, the AA thing, he was like, that stuff works for you, but that stuff never works for me, you know?
Mm,
And when
Mhm.
he said that, I remember when I was having a problem, when I was trying to get off the sauce, right? But this is all when I took my real efforts, that was my mindset. I was around people who successfully found a way to quit drinking and using drugs, but in my mind, I'm different from you guys. This may work for you, but but this, it doesn't work for me, you know?
Right.
And when he said that, and I looked at him and I seen how broken he was, I seen the me that was inside of him.
Yeah.
And in that moment, everything kind of changed for me. I went from being super burdened by it to just turning my heart to this guy. And in that moment, I promise you, in that moment, I wanted, I wanted this life. I wanted this sobriety. I wanted all of this more for him than I ever wanted it for me.
Right.
And I just learned how to try to love this person, you know. And at the end of the day, he went back and did what he did. So it's like, it's not all success stories. But
Right.
right there in that moment, that necessarily might have not just been for him, because I've had a deep-seated hate towards myself for some of the shit that I done, and I
Hmm.
don't know how to work on that. But
Right.
when I can love somebody who's exactly where I was, when I can love somebody who's the exact same person that I hate in me, I start to love on myself. I love this person, and in turn, I'm
Mm,
loving that broken part of me, you know? And
Yeah.
and then my life makes sense. Somebody who's hurt, somebody who's went through exactly what I went through. Now everything that I went through, it makes sense for me in that moment, because if all I ever did was got clean and sober so I could go on and have a successful career and whatever it may be, then I've missed the entire point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I
yeah.
do this so I can show other people how to do it, so I can walk them through it. I'll tell everybody, anybody, anyone who sees this, if you want the fucking blueprint of what I did to get here, I will give it to you. I'll send you a PDF file. This is how Frank fucking stopped doing shit. You know what I'm saying? I will give it to you. I will coach you through it. But the thing I
Yeah,
can't do is make you want to do it. And
That's
exactly.
so true.
that's where the problem comes in, is nobody wants to do it,
Yeah.
because it's not like I get to do this stuff that I'm doing now, but I've been working on myself behind the scenes for the last 5 years. And I
Right.
still currently work on myself every day. And now it's just starting to be a little bit more public, right? It's
Hmm.
not super crazy, but people are starting to hear me and hear my story, and everybody who sends me love and all this, like, I appreciate it 100%, because I know I'm just an image of somebody that they know. And it's like, I can give you the blueprint and do it, but you have to, you can't make somebody want it. And that's
Mm-mm.
the
No,
part that sucks the most,
Yeah. They
because
absolutely.
have
when
to
you
want it for
see them,
themselves.
Yeah.
yeah. But I can't dismiss them either because they don't want it, right? If they ask for help, I will
Yeah.
lend the hand,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
And, I have a little bit like a question for you.
mm,
So the young girl I was talking about, so I originally was introduced to her at 11 years old. Actually started out as her babysitter. She didn't have a good home life. She was often at my house, so on and so forth. She gets pregnant at 15. Mom kicks her out. We take her in, right? Off and on, we went through this. But when I say we went through this, I mean, she would leave. I would leave brokenhearted. I would allow her always to come back. She would leave. I would leave brokenhearted because it would end badly. Then she would come back. And now I haven't spoken to her in 2 years. And because at what point is it that they don't really actually want help? I guess. Because if you keep opening up, opening up and opening up, eventually, Frank, I had to just shut down. I was like, I
yeah,
can't do this anymore because I was getting hurt repeatedly over and over and
Yeah.
over
yeah,
again for trying to be that person.
yeah, yeah. It's there's a very thin line between helping somebody and enabling somebody. And that's the part of the people who don't under who the non-addict, right? The parent, the friend, the whoever, the relative or the friend of the alcoholic or the drug addict or the troubled person, whatever, right? There's a fine line between helping them and enabling them, and that line can differ for fucking everybody. I will
Hmm.
say that if it's costing you more than you're willing to pay, and I'm not talking financially, you know what I'm saying? If
Right.
it's costing you mental health, if it's costing you your relationship with those around you, if it's costing you relationships with those who are dependent on you, at some point, the best thing you can do is say, I love you and I've tried, and letting and cutting that person off.
That's
I was
exactly what
talking
happened.
Yeah.
I was talking to a lady outside the Chillicothe show, and she
Yep.
was telling me about her brother. who was who was on fentanyl, and and it was her little brother, and she was like, how do I get him sober? And the hardest thing to say to somebody in that situation is you don't. You know what I'm saying? You don't get them sober. You can't get them sober. You don't have that power, right? But if you're battling with the guilt, she was telling me she was battling with the guilt because it's her little brother, and she had a mother who passed away, and her last promise to her mom was that she would take care of her little brother. And so now she's in this place where she's feeling guilty, but every time she's helping him, giving him money, she's enabling him because he's using it to go and do whatever. And so, I found, and this is just my own little remedy when it comes to dealing with people who are still in current active addiction, right? I can't give you money, but a quick, easy for me, if they have kids, you know what I'm saying? If they have a child that they are neglecting because they're in the addiction they're in the position they're in, I will pour into that child, right? I will, and it's not for the child's sake, it's for mine. I feel guilty that I can't help this person, and I said I
Mhm.
would, but instead I can pour into this kid who doesn't have a father or a mother right now, and I can show them that they're still loved. And in that, hey, I'm helping this person, I'm still helping them, I'm just not helping them like they expect it, but I'm helping them by helping their child. And in that, it starts to heal some of that guilt and that shame and that feeling of like, I should have done better. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it always starts with the action. Your emotions always follow your actions. It's never the other way around. You don't feel your way into doing something, right? If we have to sit here and wait till we feel like doing it, it may never get done. But if we start doing it, I mean, Lacey, it comes with exercise. It comes with
Yeah.
fucking doing CrossFit, nobody like walks in. Sometimes you're like, yeah, I'm ready to do this, but other times it's like, fuck. But once you get started,
Yeah.
then your emotions catch up with your body, and it's like, okay, we're here, and then you get that. That's just the way that it is with life in
Mhm.
general. You put action. If you want to help somebody, if you know somebody who's in addiction and you want to try to help them, I tell other, bribe them, hey, I will take you out to dinner. We're gonna go get something to eat, but you got to come with me somewhere first, and then take them to a meeting. Take them to a
Mhm.
meeting. Go with them. Don't just say you should go. Go with them. Invite them, and then afterwards, take them
Yeah.
out to eat. And if they want to talk about it, hey, great. If not, leave it alone. But you tried your part, right? There's always something that we can do when it comes to helping those. And I will say it 100 times over. Nobody is too far gone, right? Nobody is too far gone that they don't deserve a little bit of compassion and help, even if
Absolutely.
they burnt you over and over and over and over and over. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the end of the day, money is money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Time is time. But if you take that 1 second, and it might be a long shot, but if they do something with that moment, you've changed somebody's life, you know and to dismiss it because it might go the same way is just, it's irresponsible. I think it's not healthy for anybody.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
too many friends who stand over graves. I know too many parents who stood over graves, and they just cried saying, I should have done more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I want to be able to stand there and say, you know what? I gave it my best shot. I love you. I'm glad you're out of your addiction now. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
everybody one day is going to stop using and drinking, whether it's going to be on this side of the grave or the other. Everybody's going to stop one day. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I
Yeah.
want to be able to
Absolutely.
stand there and say, hey, I tried, homie. I
Absolutely.
tried.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
only because I see him in chat real quick, because I know he's going to go live tonight. Shout out to my bestie, Archie. Drink the Kool-Aid is in the house. Go and say hello to
Hey,
Archie.
I think that dude reacted to one of my songs.
Probably.
It's super animated. I loved
I
every second
love,
of it.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
loved every second of it, man. I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Archie is
There
going to
was,
be doing great things with his channel. He is very good at what he does.
yeah.
So yeah, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. And I just wanted to make sure I said a proper hello.
Yeah. I can already think of all the songs I'm going to request to make him do.
We're already plotting
I got a
against you,
whole
Archie.
list.
Um, but yeah, I think that what you do is beautiful, whether or not
Mhm.
you might not see it that way, right? Because it's something that you feel like almost like you're compelled to do, or
Mhm.
it is your work,
passionate about,
right?
yeah.
It's yes. And but I still think no matter what, whatever we take away, it's still admirable. Like it doesn't matter, right? It's
Mhm.
still and I know that you're not doing it. It's not selfish reasons.
Yeah.
I never did anything for selfish reasons either. But I think you're my new best friend and my new therapist. I'm just telling you. I'm gonna be like, Frank, I'm having this problem. What do I do?
Yeah.
Well,
I love,
so I have a secret, right? I have a secret weapon, and it's like it's 8 old dudes. I have I'm serious. I have, aside from my label mates, right? My closest friends, the closest one to me in age, I think is probably mid 50s. I'm 35, right? And every Tuesday morning, we sit around a coffee table and we just talk. We talk program, we talk AA, we talk life, we talk in general, spirituality, all these things. But there's a guy there, his name's Pete. Pete's 85 years old. Pete has 50 years of
wow.
continuous sobriety, right?
Wow.
And
That's
so
amazing.
That's insane.
yeah, I'm about to have 6,
Yeah.
and so when I sit next to Pete, I throw my little opinion on the table. I say it, I flip my nickel on the table, and he'll listen to me, and then he'll just say, "That's cute, Frank. Just shut up." Because I could go off on tangents and this and that,
Yeah.
but I need that. I need that, right? So these are the gentlemen that pour into my life. And what I do is I take everything that they give me and I pour it into these kids and I pour it into everybody else. All the stuff that everybody hears from me, it's a product of what these gentlemen have taught me because they've sat with me over these last few years and helped me get through child support stuff, buying house stuff, like all these things, fighting my best friend, like all these things that fighting with myself, trying to figure out who I am as a person because I've spent most of my life being a certain way. Um, I come to these guys who've been doing this sobriety thing for decades, and I just have this humility to just listen. And I listen, and I don't just listen. When they give me advice, I take it, even if it's stupid. The first time that my sponsor was telling me to start praying consistently, I was still on this fence thing with God. You know what I'm saying? Like I believed in God, but you know what I'm saying? Like I was just in a weird place where it was like, I don't know if he's really has my bet. I don't know. I was in this weird place. I'll just say that. And he told me, he said, Frank, start praying. And I was like, man, I don't even know if I believe in God right now. And he
Yeah.
just looked at me and he says, I didn't ask you to believe in God. I asked you to pray. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah. And I was like, oh, like, okay.
okay.
And so I just did.
Yeah.
I
Let's do
just
that
did.
then.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like, don't overcomplicate this thing.
Hmm.
Don't get your, like, I asked, do the action. And when he said that, I was just like, okay, I'll just start praying, and, what do you expect? The more that I start praying, the more that things start to find themselves, they work out in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? They don't
Yeah.
work out the way that I want them to, right? But the results that I'm looking for, they happen. So it's like, okay, I don't get to pray to God and then they say, hey, you know what? Do it my way though. Like, let's do this, but let's do it my way,
Hmm.
because then I'm in control. So it's like,
Right.
okay, look here, this is what the problem is. This is what's causing me the most pain, help me with this. And then I
Yeah.
take my hands off the steering wheel. And then what he usually does, it's not the way that I would do it, but
Right.
it gets done. And at the end of
Yeah.
the day, I end up learning something from it.
I've always said like sometimes
That's Mike's
God.
sons.
Oh,
Hey.
hey. How's it going?
And
I
that's Lou
think
Diamond Phillips.
oh. Oh, that's hilarious. Uh La Bamba. That's what always makes me think of Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah. Young Guns, Chavez. That's what I go with.
There you go. Yeah. I've always said like sometimes God, you may not get what you want, but you get what you need.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's not always like I've had my own struggles with like my faith and stuff because I've kind of felt like I went through a series of like really bad experiences and kind of felt like God forgot about me or he's not there for me for whatever reason, and then I kind of had to just like let that go and like you can't. I was expecting him to just change everything and make it better, but they always that kind of saying, God helps those who help themselves. Like it's up to me to make choices to better my life. And then he sets me on the path. It's my job to walk it, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
So, but
Her
yeah,
job to walk her ass across the country
yeah,
into Ohio.
into Ohio. That was the past step for me right there.
Yeah, there's a saying. They say God will show you the mountaintop and not the path, or the path and not the mountaintop. He'll
Yeah,
never give you the whole picture. He'll I've seen him put it in people that says, "Hey, you're gonna be this," right? Some people just automatically know, "Hey, this is what I'm called to do. Now I need to figure out how to do it," right?
yeah,
Or then there's other people like me, you know what I'm saying? The very narrow sighted fucking stubborn guy. He's just going to show me the next step. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you where we're going. I'm just going to make sure that you make this next step. Because if I give you the whole picture, you're going to fuck it up anyways. And so I'm just the next step kind of guy. You know, he's like, this is where you're at. And it makes my life easier. Right now, I don't have to worry about where this thing's going. I just have to worry about making sure that I take the next right step. If that makes
Yes,
sense.
I do. And Auntie Pan, just know I'm thinking about you today, girl. I love you.
yeah. She's been going through a thing too. She's love you, sending much love. Anna said, you don't always get what you want, but you always get what you need. Yes, that was the Rolling Stones as well. Very speaking in lyrics.
Speaking
right
lyrics,
there.
see, Anna, you
Yeah.
fit right in.
Yeah. That's what it always comes down to. Hey, it was wise words,
Yes.
you know? And it reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Under the Tuscan Sun.
Mm-mm.
But it's about this woman who it starts out, she's on this like talk show, and her husband comes on to tell her that he's divorcing her and he's been having an affair with whatever, and so she ends up taking this ticket to go on this tour to like Tuscany or Italy really, but ends up in Tuscany, and she just sees this like house that needs to be like kind of remodeled. Nobody lives there. She ends up just getting off the bus and buying this house and living there. And she was talking to someone, she was like, I want love here. I want a family. I want all these things. And as the movie progresses, by the end, she has all of the things that she wanted, just not in the way that she anticipated them like being there,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was just like, and I've always thought of that in my head. That movie was a very like, I don't know, it hit me in a different way, I guess, than just the typical movie. Cause I was like, wow, like sometimes like you can want something, but like a lot of times you don't even know that you're getting it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've lived my life like that a lot, and I stopped, being mad at God for not making better things happen in my life, and I tried to actively start making better things happen in my life myself.
Mm.
So
Yeah. I know if you're drowning and you ask for a life raft, you don't get to be picky on the color,
yeah, exactly,
you know? And
exactly. That's exactly it.
that's just it's a lot actually it's really arrogant to say, "Hey God, help me," but do it this way though. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, yo, you don't get to ask for help and then try to take control. And it's like if you want help, you're gonna get the help, right? And you just receive it. But if you want to
Absolutely.
try to be controlling, and you're gonna drown.
Yeah. Well, so I'm curious how did you hook up with TrailerMade and all of that? Who did you meet first? How did that all come about? What's the
Yeah,
story?
I was I was I was doing a show in Tulsa, and I had just gotten out of rehab, and so I was opening up for a friend of mine, and and I was like, all right, I'll go, but like I'm on curfew, so I have to go first, and I have to be out by this time because if not, they're
Mm.
gonna write, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna kick me out the house, whatever. And so I do this show, and so when I go on stage, there was only like 7 people there, right? And I think 4 of them were the other artists. So it was just one of those things, but I got up there and I performed, and I just kind of I put everything else out my mind. I just do what I know how to do. But one of the guys who happened to be in the crowd was somebody who I guess ran a grow in Oklahoma,
Hmm.
and he starts telling me about his buddy. His buddy's name is Big Buzz, and he was like, you should. He's gonna come to town, and you should open up for him." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, man, just send me the details." And then I don't hear from him for like 3 or 4 months, and I just figured, he was just talking after a show talk or whatever. But he calls me out of nowhere, and he was like, "Yo, Big Buzz is coming. They're playing. Do you want to open it?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, when and where?" And he was like, "Tonight in Arkansas." And I was like, "I don't have a, I don't have a way to get to Arkansas. Like I don't have a way to, like, it's all last second." And he was like, "Yo, we got a van. they're gonna pick them up from the airport and they're all gonna drive. You can just jump in the van. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I take the chance and I jump in the van with some strange dude. The guy who invited me he didn't come himself. He puts
Oh
me in a
shit.
van with somebody
You
that
don't
I have
know.
no idea who he is. We
Mhm.
go to the airport and we pick up Big Buzz, his old lady, and then Cryptic Wisdom was there, and then Target and Bread got on. And so I didn't know. I knew I was there to meet Big Buzz. I know who Cryptic Wisdom is because I'm from Arizona. So I knew who he was, and I was like, "That's cool. Like it's Cryptic Wisdom right there." But I had no idea who Target and Bread was. And so we drive to Arkansas, and we get across Arkansas, and then they get out, and we stop at the gas station or whatever. And I'm in the back of this van the whole time, right? And we get out, and then they start talking to me, and they didn't even know that. Like that's when they found out that I rapped. They're like, "You rap?" And because they were like, "Yo, do you work for that guy?" And I was like, "No, I don't know who that guy is." You know, I was like,
You're like,
"Somebody
I'm
put me
just
on this."
fucking here.
Yeah, that's really what it was. And so we get across, and when they find out that I rap, they're like, "Well, you're gonna open the show," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." He didn't even tell you that I was supposed to open. Like nobody knew what I was doing there. But then we go up into Arkansas. We went to Mountain Home, and
Mhm.
we played the Royal 66. And I went up first, and I ran the same set that I had run a few months before, and it at that time there wasn't a lot of structure to my music. I just rapped 100 miles an hour for like 15 minutes. Like
Nice.
that. I didn't even have hooks in my beats. I just had instrumentals that I ripped off of YouTube, and I was playing them off a cell phone. Like that was my set, and I just ran that. And Target and Bread were the first ones to come backstage after I got off, and Target was like, "What the fuck was that?" And I'm just looking at him like, I don't know. And then he pointed, there was somebody else who went up after me, and he was like, "She has to follow that. How does that make you feel?" And like, I don't know these guys. So we all hang out, they do their thing, like everybody's drinking. Like 7 months sober at this point, and I'm still battling everything. But I knew I just going to what I know was like, I need to find an AA meeting. And so I just Googled AA meetings in Arkansas, and I found one that was going to start the next morning. And so after the show was over, they had somebody shuttling us back and forth to the hotel and the venue. And I asked the lady who was shuttling us, I said, "Hey," I said, "do you know where this church is at?" And she was like, "Can I ask why you're going?" And I was just told her, I was like, "Okay, look, I'm an alcoholic in recovery. Like, I need to go to a meeting. Like, we had two shows." I was like, "I can't do another show. Like, I can't go another night without a meeting, or like, this isn't going to go well." And so turns out she was in a program called Al-Anon. Her husband was a recovering drug addict. And so when I told her that I was looking for a meeting and I needed help, she was like, "There's one here, and it's in the morning, and I will be back here to pick you up and take you." And so this lady
Aw.
came and picked me up. She
That
doesn't know
story
me.
gave me chills.
Yeah, she took me to this church. I went to the meeting, and then had somebody from the meeting drive me back to the hotel. And by the time I got there, like everybody was up, they were all up, and like they were looking for me, and they thought that I had left. And so like when Big Buzz asked me, he was like, "Where'd you go? We were looking for you. Where'd you go?" Da, da, da. And so I finally told him, I was like, "Look, man, I'm an alcoholic. I'm in recovery. Like I went to an AA meeting." And then there was like, he was like, "Oh, there's a little couple jokes and shit," but Target and Bread was like, that's cool, And so we do the show the second night, and I don't drink, I just hang out, I do my set, and I'm hanging out. And by the time we get back to Tulsa to take him back to the airport, Target was like, "Yo, dude, it was really cool of you to kind of just stick to what you said." You know what I'm saying? Like, my integrity, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Mhm.
And so he invited me to come down to Florida. This was at the end of 2020, right? He was still with Dirt Rock. And so I fly down there, and he opened his house up for me, for a week. I stayed with him for a week. I stayed in his house. I slept in his daughter's room. And it was so cool of Target and Bread. They just kind of told everybody, right? Like, this is Juice was there. This is the first time I met Juice, and we did our song. I met Crown, like I met everybody for the first time, but he told them all, he was like, "Look, this dude don't drink, he don't smoke, he don't do. So he was like, for this week, we're not doing none of that. We're just, you know what I'm saying? He like
Oh,
cleaned, yeah, bro. He cleaned his whole house is in a way, you know, like, and just was like, look, we're not doing that. And for real, him and Bread just invested a week into helping me make music and not just rap. Right. Like that's
Yeah.
where I'm Good came out of. That's where Stranded came out of. That's where Covered in Blood came out of. Um, Way Up, the song that I have with Juice,
with Juice,
Mhm.
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like that's where all that came out of that first week. Spaz was the first song that I did with him, you know, and so like that all came from that first week. And that's how I went down there. And then I just kept going back, man. I just, you know, hey, we got this. And, you know, and I go down there and I spend some time with them and, you know, and I did. And I'll say this after that first time, like that was the one. Now, when I go down there, these motherfuckers is like, Frank's here. They're throwing me keys. You know what I'm saying? We got the designated driver. And so they just fucking, you know,
Mhm.
because I get it, you know, but at the same time, like
That's fair
for
for me.
them, yeah, for Target to be so inviting for me like that, like
Yeah.
and you know, he didn't have to, it's his house. He can do
Right.
whatever he wants. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to be real respectful to my sobriety and my recovery for him to do that. After that, I was like, I don't like whatever you guys are doing. I want to be a part of it. Like I'm here for it.
Yeah.
You know, and then he went from this label to that label, you know, but I mean, I'm still there. I'm in the background with them, just they're helping me do some stuff for myself. And then when Trailer Made became a thing, I didn't even know if I was on the label because we didn't have a conversation. Like they were like, I remember they were like when they first went public, like Trailer Made signed Dolph, right?
Yeah.
And then the Sticks, and I'm sitting there like, and I go down there and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm like on the label or whatever. I find out because I'm riding with Target. He was like, "Oh, we got Trailer Made shirts printed up," and he like threw me mine, and it had my name on it. You know what I'm saying? It said
Yeah.
Thompson on the back, and it's a trail. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, let's fucking run it." So like, that's
Yeah.
how that happened.
I
That's
love
how that
that.
happened.
I
Yeah,
love that. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? That also just, 100 million and one reasons why we love Hard Target. I
yeah,
love
dude.
that fucking dude.
He is one of the most solidest persons I know. It's funny because the only time that I ever see him like feel some type of way about anybody is if they're genuinely just not a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're just like a shitty person and they're just, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the only time I've ever seen him like just like completely just like I'm done, you know, or like it's because and it has nothing to do with talent. You know, he's told me that 100 times. You know, he's like I'm around talented people all the time. He's like, I want to be around good people, you know,
Yeah.
and so like that's kind of how Trailer Made from the way that I see it came about was because everybody on the team, you know what I'm saying, is like we really are here for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? And what I think is so funny is like when we went to Redneck Rave,
Mhm.
we were going just by ourselves, just two females headed to this concert, didn't know what we were going into. It's several days long. We didn't know anybody. We're
Oh,
just going.
I do shit. I've done shit by
Get,
myself my whole life.
but
Yeah.
so, but like it was so weird because as soon as Friday came around and here comes freaking Trailer Made rolling up in cars and they just
No,
come like a
I swear it was one car
like
and
they
it was
just
a clown car and
they
like
just
20
kept
people
coming out,
got out of one
I
car.
swear, I think there was two, but still, it just was,
Felt like one.
there was just all these people coming out of this car, but instantly, like we see, Hard Target, Suppleman, we approach them.
Crowny,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but I didn't know Crowny yet, like
Oh,
not well,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't like we hadn't talked
Not
to
like
him
that,
yet,
yeah.
so I see Hard Target, Suppleman immediately. Both of them are just so genuine, nice guys.
Yeah.
Saying hi, saying hello. We get our hugs, blah 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 blah. But we hung out with them all day. And Hard Target has this way of like made you feel safe, and that's the best way I know how to describe it. Like I felt like if anything went down, I didn't care if I grabbed Target. That's who I needed.
Yeah.
Like it was just like it was just weird. Like the comforting like that all of them had. And
Yeah.
hanging. The only one I fangirled over was Corey Spires.
Yeah.
I was
We
like,
hadn't met her yet. I love Corey.
Corey, like, yeah,
Yeah, she's dope.
I love her.
Yeah. I love Hard Target's like his humor is just like,
Hilarious.
top tier.
Hilarious
especially
guy.
the promos at the beginning of Adam's videos that he's been posting, where Hard Target will just kind of like graze by like in passing and say something like random. He was like, like, oh, we're not going to cancel our tour.
I was like, oh,
or whatever, and it's just him walking by, and it's just the funniest shit. But he's funny like that all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So
And you know
I
what?
think my
Go ahead.
favorite thing about Target, whenever you want to capture his humor in one video, it's the Playboy the Beast diss, right?
oh yeah,
So like as he's
Revelations.
putting, I think so. But as like I've sat next to him and I've watched him work so much that as I'm watching this video and you see the titles start in the beginning and at some
Yeah.
point they just stop. I could just see it. He was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna fucking do this the whole time. And then he like does a little thumbs up emoji and like all these, and he's like, this motherfucker's really talking to himself. You know what I'm saying? Like his lyrics are saying one thing and he's like typing something else down here at the bottom. So he's like having his own conversation with his music right there. And I was like, yep, that's it. That's Target. You know what I'm saying? Like this, he's fucking awesome. He's one of the coolest dudes I know. He's so kind and he's really good at making sure that, you know what I'm saying? Like you feel seen. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That's saying he doesn't overlook anybody.
I think that's
Like
awesome.
nobody's insignificant to him if you're
No.
around him. Like it doesn't make anybody feel less than or nothing, right?
Yeah,
And if there is something that he's not comfortable with or whatever, he'll make it a point to say, "Hey, look, this is there, but like let us all know, like, hey, this is just what it is. We're not gonna start nothing." You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, there's a lot of
yeah,
times that, especially when the diss tracks started coming out, people are getting hot, they're taking shots, and it's just like, yo, that's the fucking homie. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, like for me,
yeah,
when I hear someone talk sideways, I'm not gonna battle rap you. I'm just gonna fight you. That's just how it
yeah,
is. I have an old school, maybe penitentiary mentality. If you're man enough to say it, you're man enough to fight me over it. You know what I'm saying? And so
I feel
there's been
that.
a lot of times that somebody would say something and Target just hit us in the group chat. Hey guys, look, we're just gonna let it slide. They just don't. We're not gonna buy into it. We're not, because everybody's hot. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's mad. But Target's just that guy. He's like, look, we're not gonna do this. We're not gonna tarnish. We're not gonna
Hmm.
stoop to this level. You know what I'm saying? So like, he's a really good, genuine dude. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, Anna, I
I've
believe
always
that's
known him to be.
the trailer made necklace. She want to know what your necklace was.
What your
I think it's
necklace?
the trailer made. Yeah,
Yep. Trailer made
Yeah,
necklace. I'm
it's
still waiting.
It's a T
I
and
need one.
and an M.
Yes.
it's a skeleton showing its butthole.
I saw that only because Target said, was it Target or
Yeah.
Simple Man? It might
Yeah,
have been
that was
both.
Target. When I seen
Yeah.
that out, when he said that, I was like, God damn it.
There was something else that was like, if you turn something upside down, it looks like a robot violating a crab, and I can't remember what it was now. And it's the funniest shit because when you see it and you turn it, you're like, oh shit, it is. But I can't. But that's what that made me think of was the skeleton thing. I saw that post. That was funny.
I so hope because when we went and saw you and Dirty, there was the trailer made necklaces there, and I was like, damn,
I wanted one.
it's like, okay, do you grab the merch shirts? So like I could either get like one of your shirts and one of Dirty shirts, or I could have got that necklace, and so
Yeah.
I chose the shirts, right? But I'm hoping that maybe they'll have them on the war tour. I'm hoping Target brings some. I'm
Oh,
hoping.
Woo
I
trailer
know
crew.
I think that starts tonight, right? Tonight's their first night. I think so.
Is it
I
it's the 19th? Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And we see them next week on the 24th.
Yeah. 24th. Yep. We see them
24th.
on Wednesday.
So
Yeah.
this is from we had Crowny on the other day. Was that last weekend?
Yeah.
This past weekend or something? And
Yeah.
we were joking and we came up with Woo Trailer Crew.
Yeah. Wood Trailer Crew.
It's like I don't even remember what we were
I
talking about that
love
I came up with. It's so funny.
I love Crown, man. That's my dog. That's
Yeah.
my dog, man.
He'll be
There's
back
that
on.
I talk so much. We go back and forth. If I call him and he doesn't answer, like I don't leave a voicemail for anybody. Like I'm just like whatever. But if I go to voicemail and on his call, I'm on his voicemail like for real, dog. That's what we're doing. That's how we're doing it now. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's
You
fucking.
should
I love that dude.
you need to give him shit because he ain't here in the comment section, but you sure the hell was there
Oh,
when
yeah.
he was on.
Yeah,
Give him
I know.
shit.
Look, that's all I need is more ammo next time I talk to him.
Right.
Heck
Well, you
yeah.
know what? Give him a hard time. He'll be back on Sunday.
Mhm.
He's coming back here on Sunday.
Nope, I'm not even gonna be here now. Just
Oh, that's
out of
right. He
resentment
won't.
now.
Yeah, you're
Just out
like,
of
no.
bitterness. No, no, he can go at it. He can go at it alone. I ain't gonna giving him no notes.
Oh shit.
I love that so much.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh no, we were talking about going in trailer man. You talked about get how you got started and how everything kind of started coming about, right? So when was your is this your no is this your first tour? No, right? You were just with
I was just with the Overtime and Calico tour back in
Right.
July.
yes
Yeah.
because I was thought I missed that because we talked about going to that one too because we knew Dirty was going to be there.
Yeah.
Because
I'm just balling on a budget these days, so
I know.
Oh,
There was
aren't we all? I wouldn't have
Mhm.
even went on that tour if it wasn't for Dirty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they asked me, we did Oklahoma City. Actually, Dirty texted me because they had already had me booked to run local support for the Oklahoma City show because I live in Tulsa. And it's like anytime OT is like, hey, can you like, yeah, dude, I'm down, And so that I was already planning on going. And Dirty had texted me the day before or something, and he was like, yo, there's a small chance that they might ask you to jump on. Uh but in my mind, I'm like, I don't have the money to. Like I was budgeting for this tour, right? I'm
Mhm.
budgeting for September. I'm not budgeting for July. And if I push into my September fund, then I don't want to come out here, you know what I'm saying? And then, and then run out or whatever. So I when he told me that, my immediate reaction was like, I can't do it. But I was like, you know what? I'll wait to see if they ask me to go. And I get there, we're doing the show, and uh Overtime's tour manager comes up to me and he says, hey, is there any way that you can maybe run July for us? And I wanted to tell him no, but I was like, man, let me make some calls, let me see what I can do. But in my mind, I was like, I have no way to do it. Like I don't have the money to. But I didn't want to tell him no to his face. And so I like walk off and I'm talking to Dirty, and I was like, bro, they asked me to, and he was like, are you gonna do it? And I was like, I don't have money, like I don't have the car, I don't have the merch, I don't have anything. Um, and so I was sitting in the middle of the show, and this is just one of those things, man, where I mean, I'm just tell you exactly how it is. I was sitting in the show and I'm watching one of the openers, and I just prayed and I just said, God, I really, 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 really want to do this. Like I really want to run with these guys. It's Chris Calico. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been listening to Chris Calico since I was fucking 13 years old.
Heck yeah.
right. Like who wouldn't
I
want to
grew up
go?
I grew up on tech and Calico. I grew up on strange music. So it's like in my heart, I'm like, I really want to fucking do this, I really want to do this. But I also was like, if this isn't for me right now, like if I can't do it, help me be okay with not going,
Mhm.
and that was my prayer. And I just kind of left it as it is. About 10 minutes later, Dirty come back up to me and he says, hey man, what's stopping you from coming? And I was like, fucking rooms, like transportation. Like I don't have any of that. And Dirty was like, well, look, I already kind of got this already thing booked out. We'll see if they can't put some of my stuff in their trailer. And if they can, I'll make enough room for you to have a seat. And that's just the way that it went down. They were able to take some of his stuff.
Wow.
Dirty made just enough room, so I had a seat to sit down, enough for my bag, so I had my stuff with me. And if it wasn't for Dirty, I wouldn't have went. Like I 100%.
Aw.
He covered the rooms when we got close enough to Pennsylvania. I just stayed in his house, and we hit all those spots. So we did all of July. I'm just running with Dirty, you know, and
Mhm.
so like that. It was. That's what I mean. Like this is family. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't have to do that, and I'm sure it
Right.
probably costed him a little more than he was willing to. You know what I'm saying? But like at the end of the day, he was like, "You want to do this? I want to be with people who want to do this. So let's just do it." You know what I'm saying? And so like, if it wasn't for Dirty, I wouldn't have went. I wouldn't have been on Overtime at Calico. And so now I can sit here and say that this is the second the tour that I've done. Like I made a post earlier, just kind of rattling off all the states that I've been to in the last 90 days,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing, and it's crazy to think. And it's yeah,
So how was that to be on tour with Chris Calico?
it was cool. After like the first week, kind of settling into this motherfucker just gonna walk through this door any minute, you
Yeah.
know. and I finally kind of like got my chill. I did what I always do, and I asked questions.
Yeah.
It's like here's guys who have had decades of knowledge of stuff that I'm just starting, and so I'm like, yo, man, what would you have told yourself, for your first tour? And like I just started asking them questions. It's like these guys got game. And, and
Yeah.
and if they're willing to give it, I'm gonna listen. And I did, man. I asked him, I asked OT, any chance that I had where I found myself, it was just us standing in a place, I would just ask him a question, something that I think would be of value to what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you ask people questions, if you phrase it right, like they're willing to just give it,
Yeah.
you know,
What was the most valuable piece of advice he gave you?
prioritizing the mental health
Yeah. He
because
seems
this
like a
isn't
nice
for
guy.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
No,
does
yeah.
seem like a nice
I
guy.
mean, I obviously I know his music, but like he does reactions and stuff now. He has a YouTube channel and everything. So it's
Yeah.
like it's been cool. Like I love when people do that because it's a whole different perspective on the music. And I learned a lot from just watching other reactors and people who are like, especially people who are artists who do reactions because they see and hear things that I either wouldn't have caught or maybe didn't see or hear. And I just think it's really, really cool. So those are cool experiences you'll never forget. Like
Well, yeah. Well, not only
Never.
that. What's cool about what like she's saying, like even watching other reactors, right? Or we have so you're in the music realm, right? You're asking other musicians how they would do things or structure
Yeah.
things. We've done the same with other reactors that are successful, or we watch what not to do,
Yeah.
right? Like let's not do this, let's
Yeah.
not do that. So we like very little drama. We like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're more about love, not hate, that
Yeah.
type of thing. So and
rising tides lift all ships.
yeah, and
Or-
yes,
Mhm.
You know?
and some people like to do, and that works for them, right? If
Yeah.
they want the drama, or they want that works for them.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for us. Like I have enough drama at work. I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need it somewhere else. So,
Yeah.
but it's very interesting to me, that how we learn even a craft of
Yeah.
some sort from others. Like you take knowledge, you learn,
Yeah.
you look, you look for new ways and developing, and you're still always developing yourself. Again, it's change, right? Like people always evolve, and
Yeah.
that's something that people don't always recognize, that people do change.
Yeah. And that sometimes those changes aren't bad. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
No.
you have to change to grow, so you evolve. The core of you might stay the same or improve, but like I think change is a part of the process.
Right. Or like with
Yeah.
with the weight loss I have, right?
Mhm.
I have developed so much more confidence. I would have never been 400 plus pound Carol sitting on this camera talking to Frank Thompson.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have
Mhm.
happened. It just wouldn't have happened at all. I
Yeah.
was very shy, reserved, ashamed, all those different things that you feel, when you're the fat lady on the cart driving around, to get your groceries because you can't walk.
Vroom, vroom.
That was me, from beep beep, because I couldn't walk.
Honk, honk.
I could barely stand to like grab something off the shelf.
Yeah.
It was
I'm sorry. I
horrible.
don't mean to laugh at it.
No,
No,
you're okay. I made the joke. That happens a lot, Frank. That's what I do. It's fine. But it's funny because people always tell me, "Well, you changed." Well, of course I have.
Mhm.
Because I'm not that same person.
Yeah.
I'm not that fat lady riding around on a cart. Like that's what I tell people. Like when we went to the rave, I was so excited. Every time we would do something that I wouldn't be able to, I would always be like, oh, 5 years ago, I'd have never been able to do this.
Yeah.
Here I am climbing up freaking like mounds of mud and
Going in the
you know,
side by side.
going into side by side. Like who was I?
Yeah.
It was very different. And it was, what's the word I'm looking for? It's,
Empowering.
it was, yeah, I mean, that's a good
Yeah.
word, but but yeah, it was definitely, it's helpful. And I don't want to cry because I will. I'm a crier. So
She's a bird.
I am a crier. I'm surprised I've held together this long today,
I know.
especially like
we always try and get the artist's like most sad song so we can try and make Carol cry.
Yeah.
It's like a game now.
it is a game. Yeah. SMG Jimmy thinks that's the fucking like meanest game in the world.
I know.
But
He's
But
like,
no,
why are we
there's-
trying to make
there's
her
a-
cry?
There's a guy I just shared that goat. Is it goat worthy? I think so.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
go with
I
Manny.
love
So-
Manny.
he did a trailer made thing, and somebody sent me the timestamps of everything that they did, and he reacted to. I have a video. It's like the 7 years old remix,
Oh, I
um,
love that
and
one.
and he did that, and it is the first time I've seen somebody like react to that, or even like the first time I've. It's the first time that I've been around somebody else listening to that song. Like I know people listen to that song, but
Yeah.
like I don't. It's super personal. It's very and so like as he was starting that, I was riding with my boy Mike Sons, who's over here. I was riding with him, and I paused it, and I was like, bro, I don't know if I'm gonna watch this. Like if he says something bad about it, like it's gonna like shatter me.
Right.
And so
Nah,
we
not
just I
me.
played it, and I don't listen to that song very much, you know. So when he played it and it's the first time that I've heard it, I think in almost a couple years. Um, I listened to it and so just to see the way that he reacted to it, I was like, okay, all right, I'm glad somebody gets it because I did it. I had a friend of mine when it was when I first got out of prison, he sent me the song, the actual song, and he said it would be dope to see you do something over this. He's like, I challenge you to try to do something to this, and I was like, okay, bet, I got you. I'll take that challenge. And so I was looking for the instrumental or whatever, and I didn't like the instrumental. It was a little too poppy-ish for me, but I
Hmm.
found this piano. It was just the piano, and I was like, fuck, dude, like I don't like people who just rap over piano. You know, like I don't. But I was like, I'm gonna try it, and I'm gonna try to make my words carry the cadence and the rhythm, carry the drums. Um, and so I just found this piano track, and then I just started writing it, and I didn't know which way I was gonna take it. Um, but it didn't take long before it started going in this direction, and then now I'm just bleeding all over this paper talking about things that I hadn't spoken to another human being about, you know, just writing these things down. And when it kind of all came to, I shelved it. Like I showed my friend,
Oh.
and then I shelved it, and I didn't touch it again,
Oh.
and it stayed that way because this was I wrote that back in like 2017 or 18, and I shelved it, and then I relapsed. I had a relapse after I got out of prison, and
Mm.
it took me out for another couple years. And so in 2020, I got clean again. And as I'm getting out of rehab and sober living at this point, my baby mama has my kids now. She because we're both living a life, and so we both lost our kids. But at this point, she got her stuff together, and she had my kids back, and I was trying to get back to see them. And I just from past experiences, she was like, look, you got to do this, this, and this. And I was taking it very personal and very hard, because I just wanted to see my kids, you know. And that song came on something, and then it just I was like, I remember I did that. And so I went and found it, and I listened to it again, and there was some things in there like I was like, I can do this better, I can do that. And so I ended up rechanging it. I rewrote it and I re-recorded it.
Mm.
And yeah, and so that was like 2021, I think, is when we actually shot the video for it and put it out on YouTube because I can't put it on streaming because it's whatever
Right. Yeah.
license or I don't like I didn't know that shit at the time. But so I just put it on YouTube and I just stuck it out there. You know, that was my moment of trying to just say that I'm a different person now, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, by that point, by the time we put it out, I was getting to see my kids. I got my visitations back. So there's a lot of history to that song
Yeah.
alone. There was actually one of the boys from the boys home listened to it, and this is when I realized that they like listen to my music. Is I walked in there and we were, you know, hanging out, and he pulled me aside. He said, "Can I ask you a personal question?" I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And he said, who was it that you tried to kill?" And I just kind of, I was like, fuck you talk about? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, well, in this song, you talk about this attempted murder and yada, and then like it just kind of blew my mind. And I was like, oh, you're like listening to the shit that I have out there.
Oh, you're like,
Like you're
shit.
taking the words in, you know,
Yeah.
and with that song, at least it ends in redemption. And so
Yeah.
like I was happy, but when he asked me that, it was one of those things that was like, oh, you're like listening for real, you're listening. And so that happened, and then I went to Florida, And when I went to Florida and I was working with Target and we were throwing some ideas around, that's where Hell Ain't No Home came from,
I
right?
Mm,
love that song.
me
Because
too.
yeah, I have another one that's coming out. It's called Help. So these two were the two sides to the same coin, to the same moment. Because I all I thought about was these kids at the boys' home. That's all I could think about when I went down there. And the fact that they're listening, and if I put something out, they're gonna listen to it. And so Hell Ain't No Home at Target actually gave me that line because I was talking about these kids and and I was throwing this idea around for this song and Target said, this hell ain't no home. And I was like, yep, that's it. Like that's it. And I just built on that, and then Help, the one that I just got the video back that I'm gonna start pushing here as soon as we get done here. I'm gonna start pushing Help. And Help it came from the same moment, like
Mm,
these are two songs that I could care less how they do. I want these boys to hear it. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I
Mm-hmm.
want these boys to hear it and know that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to feel like where you're at right now sucks.
What up, Zach?
Zach reacts in the his house. When does that song come out?
I haven't set a release date for it yet,
Yeah.
but it'll probably be the middle of next month.
Okay,
So
so
like
who?
I want to coordinate with everybody to make sure I'm not overstepping because that's a thing.
Yeah,
Like, hey,
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
drop it on this day, and they're like, well, we're putting this out on this day. Okay, well, let me move it to
yeah.
this day, and they're like, oh, well, we're gonna do this on that. And it's just like, let me try to squeeze in here somewhere
Yeah.
because it sucks. It
Yeah.
doesn't suck. It's a great problem to have, but I know just because of the fan base that's around TrailerMade, when you put something out, if it's too close, if it's like a day or two before or after
Mhm.
something that one of the guys are putting out, Simple Man or Target or you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it'll lose its traction pretty quick, you
Right.
know.
I feel you.
And yeah, because fucking Target puts out good shit, and so, but yeah, with Help, it's a little bit more personal, and it's aimed at these kids, but I still want hope to give it the light that it would have. It'll be my last, not my last, but for a while, I think I'm gonna start transitioning into making a little bit more happier music, I guess.
I feel you.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
I've been
Well,
in this somber place for too long. It's like, okay, I need to get over here and write something else.
I love that though. I mean, I get it though, because we try and like, okay, well, who goes live at this time? So we're not interfering with that because we don't want to pull from, other people. We want to give ourselves and everyone the space to be as successful as possible because,
Especially
Yeah.
because we all have a lot of the same subs,
yeah.
right? So, it makes it hard sometimes. Like if like we know that I think Archie's live, right? So like that
Yeah.
makes it tough, right? Because we have some of the same subs. So
Well, I don't think he goes live till like 9.
is it 9?
Or what? He's an hour behind though.
Okay. I thought I said 7:30 his time. So it would be now.
Oh,
That he's
maybe.
live.
I don't know.
But so I hadn't
I
seen him come
forget.
back. But anyways, but we try to coordinate around,
Yeah.
those types of things
Yeah.
because you don't want I don't want to use the word competition because it's not that. You just don't want to step on anybody's toes. And we like to go support. Like Zach popped in, right? Zach
Yeah.
reacts. Like he's a reactor
Yeah.
that we communicate with. So
Yeah.
he's popped in, he's saying
Mhm.
hi. Because we like to show kind of like that that word I'm looking for, but I can't say it. 'Cause of
Camaraderie.
thank you, because of my teeth.
Yeah.
So
No, it is. Triple T stopped by. Archie
yeah.
stopped by. Like, that's what I meant by like, I love the community. I love that, a lot of y'all are doing interviews and getting to know the other reactors and the ones that we know. And so we're like, oh, I can't, they sat down with them. I can't wait to hear their conversation. It's just like, I just think it's become a really beautiful, like symbiotic relationship between
I
artist
think
and
it's
reactor.
I think it's awesome that there's some people who like stick around for the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for
That's
sure.
fire.
That is
That's
Yeah.
fire.
fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, cause I'm not gonna lie, there's times I'll pop in and I'm in there for like 20 minutes and I'm like, okay, I gotta go do something else.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
feel you.
Yeah. And
I'm
some
ADHD, so I get it.
Yeah, and sometimes like
yeah,
with like other reactors, like they're gonna pop in quick, in and out because they've got things that they've got to do.
Hmm.
Amy's one; she's usually always here. She's one of our mods.
Hmm.
And then
Robert.
Anna's literally one of my longest friends
Yeah.
ever. And she's been here like the whole time.
Who's the
Um,
girl?
so I have known Anna since we were 19.
it it was my baby mama.
Oh shit. All right, enough said.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Hey.
But yeah, it's definitely it's good to see it. And look, I was so excited when we got introduced to, like, it was Hard Target first, and then we found Soul Man, and then it was like this rabbit hole of all these other artists. We were
But it
like,
was
wait
like
a
a
minute.
domino.
We're like, wait, who's this? Wait,
Mhm.
who is this? And before you know it, you just start going through them all. Like,
Yeah.
it's been amazing, especially with Trailer Made. And we always say we're not going to turn into a Trailer Made only channel.
Dude, but if
But
you
it's
look
hard.
at if you scroll down our videos, it's all Trailer Made, Adam Calhoun,
And Tom McDonald.
SMG Jimmy, and Tom McDonald. And that, like, for
Yeah.
like the last, like, this whole year.
Yeah. It's that. We need to branch out. We need to branch out, guys.
We try, but like, I mean, I like what I like.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
nothing
yeah.
wrong with that. I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything wrong with that.
Well, because there's so many artists to go through.
Yeah.
So it's
I just really fuck with independent music. Like,
that's
it's
one of the biggest
it-
things.
To me, it's just more meaningful. I don't know, it's just more real. Mainstream just feels very, very plastic. And I said this in our Tom interview. It feels like they only produce what they know will sell, right? But I feel like independent artists are making music that really, really matters, but also sells. You know what I mean? But it sells because it matters. And it connects to people, and it changes lives. And it, a lot of artists will write music because it's therapy for them, and then they put it out into the world and it becomes therapy for us. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I think that's a beautiful thing. But I don't really get that with mainstream, with the exception of maybe like Jelly Roll, sometimes Falling in Reverse, not as much anymore. But I mean, I love Falling in Reverse, but he's been, hardcore kind of rock lately. But
Yeah.
even that, I mean, it's just,
Well,
I
I
just really
think when
love
you
him.
fall under an independent kind of thing, I mean, you still have the freedom to express yourself, right? Like, you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about tarnishing somebody else's brand and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Which is why I love where I'm at. Like I can I literally put a lot of stuff in. And the thing is, my music, it's so much different than uh everybody else in the sense of talking about a lot of recovery,
Mm-hmm.
pain, hurt, things like that. I mean, everybody else has that.
Right.
I think what differentiates me from them is the solution that I'm always trying to give. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm
Yes.
saying? My
100%.
solution to it is usually a little different, and it's not because I'm holier than thou or nothing. It's just how I live my life.
Right.
And they've allowed me to have the freedom to do that. I come out here, and it could be really weird. It could be really weird when I'm going to these bars and playing these shows out here, and I'm standing on a stage, and there's a moment where I talk about my sobriety and my surrender to God and my faith. And people are drinking. And sometimes they walk away, and sometimes people are there for it.
Yeah.
It could be really weird. It sometimes it is weird. It feels weird. I did it in Colorado, and they thought I would just kick dirt in these people's face. But at the same time, it's like there's one or two people who usually come up to me after the show and they talk to me about whether something they know. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Mm-hmm.
they give me the freedom to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Dirty doesn't have to do that for me.
Right.
But he genuinely believes in me. And he's always backing anything that I do. So it's like it's like that right there. I have the freedom to express myself, right? Because in reality, like I am just trying to make things better. Because
Mm-hmm.
going back to the question that lady asked, I have a pretty piece of shit past. There's no other way to put it. You can't be an alcoholic. I used to shoot meth and heroin, right? And I used to mix them together. Talk about a
Oh,
ride, you know.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Fucking
Woo.
speedballs. I
Oh, is
use
that what that
I've done
is?
yeah, I've done fentanyl. All these things
Holy
that
shit.
people have done. Oh yeah, like I sent you a picture earlier. Like that was me.
Mm-hmm.
That was
yeah.
that was
Oh,
yeah. And you know what? When you see that guy, nope, I think yeah, when you see that guy, like everything that you would think surrounds that person is what
Mm-hmm.
surrounded that person. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I was around the violence. I was around this. I was around people who pushed me to do things that I wasn't comfortable with, but it's not like I had much of a choice in it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was like, hey, you put yourself in this position, now you get to do it. And so you do this and you do that. And I was around people who allowed me to be driven by hate and pain and hurt. And they pushed me even, to say, hey, someone did you dirty, somebody went and got with your baby mama, you go and handle your business. And so that's how that came about. And it was like, okay, yeah, I'm high, it's like, yeah, that's right. I am, you know what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah.
that false security of power that I had. It was like that's what these people pushed me to do.
Mhm.
And so I do come from a background that's like that. Like I told Simple Man my story one time, and I got a little bit more into details with it. And he just kind of looked at me and was like, "You'd have never guessed." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Good," because that's the whole point. Going back to what started this was this right here,
Yeah.
right? The whole
Yes.
point of turning from your ways and living is to make sure that the old person never sees the light of day again. And I
Mhm.
can't make up for everybody that I've hurt. Like I can't go back and make some amends. Some people don't want to see me. I know people who just rather wish me be dead, even today as the person that I am, right? And it's because they can't get past seeing me how I treated them. And that's okay. Like I
Yeah.
had to come to a place that says, you know what, Frank, you did this, you hurt that person. I don't get to parade my sobriety and my recovery in front of them like some kind of banner because I'm a good person when they're still dealing with the pain that I caused them,
Mhm.
right? And
Mm.
so in order to be sensitive to that situation, it's best that they just believe that I'm dead and I no longer exist. And I play that part in so many people's lives, regardless of what I'm doing out here.
Mm.
So it's like in order for me to actually let some of this go, aside from talking to people, I'll tell you this, if it's in a song, that's because I've worked through it with somebody else.
Mhm.
You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? And I'm
Yeah.
in a place where it's like, okay, I'm no longer ashamed of it. I can put it out there. And if somebody hears it and somebody sees it or whatever, and they're like, I feel that way, it's just like it's okay to say it out loud because it's
Yeah.
the small things. I've learned it's the little things. It's not the big things that take me out. It's the little snake shit that I did, right? It's the cheating on this girl or sleeping with the homie's wife or things like this. It's that stupid little snake shit that I did. That's what eats at my soul.
Yeah.
So it's like in order for me to actually work through it and get it out, like if you hear it, like I said, if you hear it in the song, that's because I worked through it with somebody else and I cried over it and I felt what I was supposed to. And now the
Mm.
only thing that I can do is let it go,
Mhm.
and I'm an artist. There's only one way I know how to let this go. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I write it down, I allow it to have its place, and I put it out there.
Yeah.
And once it's out there, you know, I no longer get to grab it back and use it as a knife wound anymore.
Right.
I don't get to grab back anything that I have and stab myself with it because I'm letting it go,
Right.
I have
because
trouble with that. I have trouble letting, like, in general, letting things
Yeah.
go. Like, and
Mhm,
it doesn't matter what it was. It could be, I don't have a tendency to throw it in people's faces. Like, I don't bring, like, I always have to hash it back up, but I always still hold some kind of resentment, some kind of something,
Yeah.
and sometimes then that kind of builds and builds, right? And
Yeah.
then I will cut somebody off like that,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to, like,
It's
not be that
it's
person,
funny
I guess.
because I was just saying the other day how I was having so much trouble like letting go of some anger that I had, and then I it's funny how things happen. I feel like I don't know. I do feel like in a sense it was like a message from God, but it came up on my screen. It said like if you have a cup of water and somebody bumps into you and you spill your water, whose fault is it? And they said, well, it's their fault. They bumped into me. And he said, no, it's like it's what did you spilled water out of your cup, but like it's because you had water in your cup. If you had milk in your cup, you would have spilled milk. And so when you like whatever is in your cup at the time when you get shaken is what's going to come out.
mhm,
And so and I took that message as like I don't want to hold on to anger and all of those negative feelings because I don't want those things to come out into the world from me when I get shaken. And so I'm going to
mhm,
try my best to let that go and just fill my cup up with the most positive, happy stuff because that's what I want to spill out into the world.
mhm,
And that really did help me kind of like just say, okay, you know what? We need to let this go. Holding it in is toxic. It's not good for your soul. Let it go, put something else in, and so I acted like, what else can I put in my cup? And you know and it's just I think those little mindset shifts can be super life changing, right? And that's like what you've done is you've taken a lot of that negative stuff that you have and you've let it go and you've filled up your cup with so much good stuff and now it's spilling out to other people and you're saving lives. Like
Hmm.
and changing people's lives, not just through your music, but through your actions. So, despite where you came from, those things that you did that you're not proud of, there's so much now to be proud of. And so, the more of those things you fill your cup with, that's what keeps coming out in the world. And I think it's just really inspiring. I know it inspires me to want to do more, you know,
Hmm.
and to be better. So,
Yeah. If I can inspire anybody to do anything, it's just to just reevaluate what you really think about your belief in God. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? To truly understand, I think to truly understand faith, you have to let go of the preconceived notions of what we believe God is. Because a lot of people still believe in the that their mother grew up with, their grandfather grew up with, this very hellfire and brimstone God. In order
Yeah.
to actually understand a true relationship, I believe that is the key, is to understand the true relationship with the creator. You know, you have to come to him open-minded and
mhm,
truly evaluate. But some people are so stuck in the way that they believe, right? They carry it around like a little umbrella and they're saying, this is my truth, this is my truth, right? And it's like, okay, well, under your umbrella, it might be raining under, you might not be getting rained on with an umbrella, but that doesn't mean that it's not raining. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like if you
Yeah.
move your truth, it's still good. There's still, it's still raining. You know what I'm saying? But I think so many people carry their beliefs like an umbrella and they're just like, oh, this is me, this is my truth, this is my truth. And they kind of build up their own ideas of who God is and what he is. And then, and the only thing I hope is like when they meet someone who walks like I walk, and they're like,
Mhm.
oh shit, all these guys are partying and drinking around him, and he's not. And not just that, he's not judging them. Like I had a conversation with one of my buddies here. He's never been on the road with me, and they were drinking the other night when the Bucks game was on, and I walked in there, and I went to grab my water, and he took a shot, and then he like backed up away from me. He was like, "I'm sorry, man. I don't want to be disrespectful," and I was like, "Dude, you're cool. Like I promise you." He's like, "No, man, you did it," and I was like, "Look, just not make a thing of it." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, it's cool. But I deal with that a lot, and it's like they have to, like, you have to do what you're doing to truly understand that I'm not sitting here in a place of judgment, right? Like when you partake in something that I don't, right? And you see that I don't treat you any different. If anything, I'm just kind of laughing and making jokes about it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
with you, not at you, but with you. Everybody does their thing. I have fun. I enjoy it. I laugh. I joke. And then at the end of the night, I'm like, you guys are fucking stupid. I'm going to bed. You know what I'm saying? We get up and we get to work the next day. It's like, but to truly understand it, it's like if you're not here with me, people don't really see it. But it's like you can ask any one of these guys that I'm with, like the way that I walk, it to them it is truly different. Right.
Mhm.
And if it just, even if for a second they stop and think, do I have the right concept of God? Right.
Yeah.
Then I'm cool. Everything else is the icing on the cake. If I can get someone to think like that just by being around me for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Then I've done my part.
Yeah.
There's a famous quote by C.S. Lewis. He said, "In all things, preach the gospel, but when necessary, use words." And it's like,
Mm.
okay, so regardless of if I never say a word to them about it, do my actions, do my actions speak about the character that I have through this identity that I have in Christ? you know? And then if, like I said, if the door's open, then I'll talk. But I don't come in here and cram Jesus down everybody's throat, you know?
Right.
But if they do ask a question, like that's what's coming out,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know?
I love that
And I
though.
think I think that was the heart intention behind that knock and the door will be opened, right? Like
Yeah.
we don't kick the door in and say this is what it is. No, when somebody knocks, right, and the door's open, somebody has to be on the other side of that door to answer it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think in some cases with some people, I'm the other person on the other side of that door. But it doesn't make me perfect, you know. but it makes me obedient. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
Hey,
Well,
Cutting
see,
stargazing with the hubby.
yeah, I
Hey.
used to do that. We haven't done that in forever. But the first night that we met you at the concert, when we met you there, we talked forever. We took a lot of his time, guys. We didn't mean to, but it was such an interesting conversation. Just listening to you talk, I could have like literally listened. Like I was like, "Who's playing?" Hold on, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I was talking, and I was so engaged and like what we were talking about that I could have talked to you all night long, like literally all night long. Like I don't know, you have this draw about you. I
Mhm.
think like just your presence, and it shows.
Yeah.
I don't know that you know it or that you're aware of it, but just the way you speak to people and the respect that you carry when you speak to those folks, it's a draw to you. It's like a little magnet, and then we all want to hear what Frank's got to say.
Yeah.
So I just wanted you to know, like that, I just appreciated that evening, just that time. Like you took a lot of time to talk to us, and I think that meant even more. That's why I was like, nope, I got to have him on the show. Nope, I got to have him on the show. Nope, I got to have him on the show. So,
yeah, well, I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
hear it a lot. I don't believe it all the time, because like I'm still fucking, every other day. It's like my mind is still all over the place. I had a hard time, and I know I have a gift when it comes to speaking. I read a lot when I was in prison. That's just kind of what I leave it as. But I've gotten to a place now where I just say thank you. Like seriously, thank you. That was probably the kindest thing that I've heard all day, all week. We've been running pretty hard, and so that means something to me. Because that's the intention of that I have behind every interaction. It's like I want to be respectful, and I don't want to be pushy, and the last thing I want to do is ever cut somebody off from thinking like they still had something to say. You know what I'm saying? I spent a lot of my childhood being shushed, so it's nice to give somebody the space. You know what I'm saying? Like if I give you the space and you decide to fill it with what you have,
right.
I'm gonna respect that, you know. And so like that's what I try to push. Now sometimes it doesn't always come out like that. Sometimes I'm very all over the place.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I know about that. I stay all over the place.
this has literally been like one of I didn't even realize that we were here for 2 hours. Oh,
Uh-oh. He said, dang, 2 hours. Bye.
bye. I know. I was trying to tell him bye.
Yeah. There he is.
Oh, it's like there he
Oh, we
went.
probably got a phone call.
Yeah. Damn phone call.
Dang phones.
But I done lost what I was saying. I don't even remember.
Oh, I don't know. Well, and I loved your set personally. I love live music is my favorite. Oh wait.
Yeah, no.
Uh-oh.
He thinks it's
Wrong
done.
button.
Wrong button.
That's what Jimmy did last time.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. We could always message him and let him know. Thank him for his time.
Oh, there he
he is. There you are.
Hey.
Yeah, I ended up getting a phone call. I didn't realize it was gonna like fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No,
Where you look?
Another phone
no,
call. Somebody really needs to get a hold of him.
Yeah. You better
He's
answer,
like,
Crowley.
I'm out. That's so funny. Oh, she said, I feel like we're friends now, Frank. That's so sweet.
I know. Me too, Anna. Me too. Me too. While we wait for Frank to come back to say bye to him, because they probably really need to.
Yeah, no, he probably needs to get.
He's just got to where was going, and he probably wants to relax.
Oh, there he is.
Let's try it again.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we're trying to say bye to you, Frank, because we've had you for 2 hours, and we know
Yeah.
that maybe you've got some things that you need to be doing. Relax
Yeah,
a minute.
dinner.
Yeah,
That's what I'm.
yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about that time for you. So, we were trying to say bye, but I've had all beautiful little speech to say bye, but your damn phone rang. So,
Like, man, somebody really wants to talk to him.
Yeah,
Somebody
they
needs
really
his
want to
attention
talk to you.
now.
So will let them do that, Frank. And I definitely would like to have you sit down again sometime when you're done.
Maybe when your new song comes
When your
out.
new song comes out,
Yeah.
yes. That would be
Yeah,
marvelous.
absolutely.
I would love
That'd be
that.
great.
I love that. Well, we appreciate your time today, sir. And I hope you have a great rest of your tour. Be safe. God bless you.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. God bless. You guys have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Frank.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty.
All right, guys. Well,
Oh no, that's not the even right one.
hey, there we are.
Hey.
Well, for I think
my
like 3 of
face.
you that are left, thank you so much. Anna, thanks for sticking around the whole time. Appreciate you, girl. That was really, really
Awesome.
It really wasn't awesome. I love talking to Frank, but we will see you guys next time. We are it's 9:00 here, so
Yeah. Well, and we will be live again Sunday 2 times. We got Uncle Beto coming on at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then we got Crowny G coming back to promote his new song that comes out on Monday. So he'll be here on Sunday to talk about the new song dropping on Monday.
Yep.
And, and it's always a good time and stuff. So, and we will definitely have Frank back. Probably more than once, honestly.
Yeah, I love Frank.
I want to get them all on at the same time and just let them talk.
Just let them talk to each other.
That would be the funniest shit ever.
Like, just get them on and just
they'll just talk shit to each other the whole time. I'm just gonna sit back and watch.
I'd love to see that.
We'll have a whole panel.
Okay,
the Family Feud.
Listen, Florida Off's freaking hilarious too.
Oh, we got to get him on too.
Yeah,
I'd get the whole crowd on. The whole label.
Yeah,
bring them all.
Bring them all. All right, guys.
All right.
Well, we'll see you guys next time. Love you much. Bye.